Hey everyone, and thanks for checking out this video. Today we're on the Maumee River in Toledo, Ohio. That's the Algoma Niagara we're approaching. We'll watch as it unloads what I believe is wheat. I lucked out catching the ship today. I was in the area recording a separate video and saw it was here. I believe it's dropping off wheat to a grain elevator owned by the Andersons Incorporated. We're due south of the downtown area. That's the Norfolk Southern Chicago line going over the bridge. I've got a video in the works on the trains in the area, hopefully coming out in a few weeks. Here we see the end of her 264-foot or 80.5 meter boom. It looks to be feeding directly into the grain silo. When I stopped to record this, it was almost like it was snowing with how much wheat husks were filling the air. There were hundreds of birds flying around too. A closer look shows the conveyor belt is covered to keep that wheat from flying away and becoming bird food. You can see the conveyor belt returning underneath. I've noticed on some of the booms that they have a position for an operator to be near the end of it to make sure that it's in the proper place. I wonder why some have it and others like the Niagara don't. Here's a look at an open spot about halfway down the boom. You can see the grain zooming by. Here's a better look at where the grain enters the elevator. This must be a temporary storage area that takes in the grain and then sorts it to the proper silo until it's needed. A wider view shows us a mixture of smoke from the ship's engines and a cloud from the grain. Every time I make this trip to Toledo, I admire the Anthony Wayne Bridge, the blue suspension bridge in the upper portion of your screen. I just think it has so much character. On a railroad note, we can see the distributed power units on an eastbound Norfolk Southern intermodal train crossing the bridge. You can also barely make out one of the ship workers near the crane that hoists the cargo hold hatches. If you look real close, it looks like someone's grilling on the main level at about a 45-degree angle up and to the right of the anchor. I've heard the food on these ships is really good. I bet it would have to be to keep the crew happy. And we finish off with a slightly better shot of the bridge. It sort of reminds me of the Ambassador Bridge in Detroit. Here we see a crew member keeping an eye on the cargo hold. Looks pretty empty to me. Also, I'm not sure if all that grain or husk or both on the deck is from this unloading, but wow, that stuff really does get everywhere. The crew member even has protective gear on to keep from breathing it in. That's the cargo hold hatch crane to his right. Let's get a better look inside the actual hold. We can see that there's a little bit of grain on the right side of the screen, while the left side, well, it's nearly all gone. The Niagara self-unloading equipment consists of a dual-hold conveyor belt leading to an aft loop belt, which brings the cargo up to the deck-mounted boom. Here we see yet another train crossing the bridge. This time it's two foreign power BNSF units leading the way. I think these swing bridges are just so cool. I wish I could make it up here more often to see them in action. Here's some information on the Algoma Niagara. It's a Chinese-built, Canadian-flagged ship. It was launched in February of 2017, going into service in November of that year. It was the first self-unloading Equinox-class bulk carrier to be built for the Algoma Central Corporation. The ship is the maximum allowable dimensions for the seaway, 740 feet by 78 feet long, or 225 meters by 24 meters. Its 5 cargo holds have a carrying capacity of more than 37,000 tons. Its primary cargoes are iron ore, coal, stone, grain, and salt. The term Equinox class refers to a ship that is much more efficient than older ships. Its single engine creates more than 11,000 brake horsepower. Here we see the Algoma Central Corporation logo. I do have a question though about the paint and the scrapes that most of these ships seem to have. Is the rust created by this not a big issue? I think that there would be more protection to keep the steel as rust-free as possible. You know these are massive ships, and a simple little tire or two won't do the trick, and since they don't operate in salt water, that's another big advantage. But it just seems like there could be more done to protect them. Here we see the back of the bridge and the emergency lifeboat. Let's take another last look at the deck of the ship. I do hope you enjoyed this video. I really do love watching these ships in action. I've got another one from this trip where you'll check out the Northern Venture unloading a little downriver. I'd love to hear your comments or if you have a favorite ship on the Great Lakes. If you did like the video, I certainly would appreciate it if you hit the thumbs up button. Until our next trip, I hope you have a great day.